Alright. What's good, YouTube? Gentleman Thomas here, and I am the coach of the Copenhagen Galates. This is the Roost Week 1 Team Builder, and we are going up against the Princeton Pinecos. Now, the Princeton Pinecos are coached by Pinorska. Pinorska. I'm still kind of uncertain on how to pronounce it. I even asked him, but I'm still not 100% sure. Now, his team consists of Lycanroc Dusk, Moltres, Harroween, Mega Banette, Coveraja, Wartortle, Shaman, Morpeko, and Hitmontop. I think he has a pretty decent team. It's lacking a couple of typings I would typically have on my team, mainly being a poison type, especially. But also the lack of a ground type is also kind of weird to me, at least. But I mean, I've seen people work without ground and without poison just fine. So if he knows how to play around that, that's perfectly fine. Now, I think he's gonna bring the Lycanroc Dusk, the Moltres most likely, the Wartortle 100% because the Wartortle is the best answer to my Barraskewda. Maybe the Shaman and maybe the Hitmontop, and I don't know. I could see him bring pretty much anything on his team. Like Harroween is always a big threat. Mega Bennett can actually be really, really good in low tier because 75 speed is like decent, but 165 attack is so difficult to try and go against. Copper Sheer Force Mon is one of the few mons on his team that can actually do some utility stuff, which, if we look into that, he has two Stealth Rock setters in Copper and Lycanroc Dusk, so he actually doesn't have access to a whole lot of hazards, because he has no spikes or T-spikes or stick whip setters at all. Now, he do have 4 removers in 1 Defog on Moltres and 3 Rapid Spin users in Wartortle, Morpeko, and Hitmontop. And then he has 2 other Aromatherapy users in Harroween and Shaman. Now, I went into this battle kind of hoping he's not going to bring Stealth Rockers on one of those 2 months. And if he does, I can potentially scare them out because I have some good offensive threats that goes against both the Lycanroc and the Coveraja. And one of the first, as you can probably guess, is going to be Lucario, also known as Impulse. Now, Lucario this week, is it going to be Focus Sash? Because, as I said, I want to try and see if I can pressure him to not set up hazards or potentially maybe lead with Lucario, because Lucario actually beats both of his hazard setters fairly well. Now, Lucario this week is going to be the Steadfast ability just because I don't see a merit in running Inner Focus with the set I'm going to be bringing. And at the same time, his only Dark type is Morpeko, and he might bring it, but its Dark Stab is actually going to be switching between Electric and Dark, most likely. Other than that, it's a couple of Dark type attacks for like Mega Banette, Lycanroc, and those can be kind of tricky to swap into, so it's not necessarily worth it. So therefore, I went with Steadfast. Just he can have Fake Out on Hitmontop and a couple of moves that can potentially flinch, maybe. I went with Timid Nature with 0 HP, 4 in defense, 252 in special attacks, 0 in special defense, and 252 in speed. And the reason for this is simply because I want to try and see if I can win a speed tie with the Moltres. If I can win the speed tie with the Moltres, Lucario is going to do very well this week because the moves we're bringing are Flash Cannon, Vacuum Wave, Hidden Power Rock, because card moves are legal in this league, so I can bring it, and then Nasty Plot. So if I can get a +2 and he potentially brings in his Moltres, if I can outspeed it and Hidden Power Rock, I can kill. I can vacuum wave the Lycanroc Dusk, which outspeeds me. Now the Shaman is then the biggest issue since it outspeeds me and can have Earth Power. But that's where I'm hoping potentially the Focus Sash can come into play. I can Flash Cannon the Shaman as he brings me down to my Sash potentially, or maybe he doesn't even kill me. And then I can vacuum wave afterwards to kill it. Now, if he brings the Mega Bayonet, I definitely have to look out for that before I try to do anything with Lucario, because it can one Prankster Will-O-Wisp or Prankster Thunderwave and completely thwart my plans in general. And the reason why I went special on Lucario is simply just because of the Hitmontop. I know Hitmontop is better on the special side, but he could always swap in to Intimidate me, swap out again, and swap in to Intimidate again, and then have nullified any +2 I've gone on the physical side. Next up, on the team sheet this week is a mon I actually think can end up doing really well if I play around it nicely. That is Barraskewda, also known as Jaws. Now, Barraskewda is going to be choice banded again. I'm kind of just sticking with choice band on Barraskewda just because it's kind of one of the maybe 3 good sets you can run on Barraskewda. You can run choice band, life orb, expert belt. Like you don't see a scarf, you don't see leftovers because it's not really bulky enough to utilize leftovers. Now, it's gonna be propeller tail. Like I don't know, none of its abilities really make sense. I guess I could swift swim for the lulls. Maybe like towards the end of the league, if I'm either secured in playoffs or I can make playoffs at all, I would bring manual rain with swift swim just to flex on people. I don't know. It's going to be Adamant Nature with 80 HP, 252 attack, 4 defense, 0 special defense, 172 in speed. This lets me outspeed anything that is not a Choice Scarf mon. Now, I do think he could bring Choice Scarf Shaman or Choice Scarf Moltres maybe. But other than that, he actually doesn't have a lot of prospects that could be Choice Scarfs. I actually think Barraskewda can be really, really good this week. Now, the moves I ended up with, I actually swapped this up a couple of times. I ended with Flip Turn, Poison Jab, Liquidation, and Close Combat. Now, I really want to run Aqua Jet on this just because I can out-prioritize the Lycanroduscus Accelerock. But I feel like having it was originally Aqua Jet, Flip Turn, Poison Jab, and Liquidation with no Close Combat, but I think having the Close Combat just so I can one-tap the Cobaracha, because I might lead with Barraskewda, and if he leads Cobaracha, I can pretty much click Close Combat. Now, should he somehow predict it and bring in the Moltres, that is massive play to him. Now, it's very risky because I could just click Flip Turn or I could click Liquidation. I'm pretty sure I will kill the Moltres with Liquidation, but I'm pretty sure Flip Turn does like 80% or something like that. It does a lot. Of course, depending on his spread. So that's why when we close combat, just so I can one tap the Cobaracha. Now his main switch into this should be his War Turtle. It's the only thing that guaranteed takes 2 liquidation hits. Or anything else, even the Shaman takes like 45 to 52%. So if I have rocks up, it actually does die to the liquidation, unless he's leftovers maybe. So that's why I'm planning on flip turning and potentially going into my next mon here, which is Raichu, also known as Inazuma. As I mentioned, he doesn't have a ground type, and he doesn't have any electric immunities. He has a resist in Shaman and a resist in Morpeko. Now, both of those actually share a weakness. I will talk about when I go down to the moveset. But I'm going to be Life Orb, which means the holder's attack do 1.3 damage and it loses 1/10 of its max HP after the attack. I went for the static ability just because it's unreliable to run Lightning Rod when his electric type Pokemon actually has a move that switch between dark and electric. So I would have to keep tabs on it being electric and then swap into it, which is kind of dangerous. So I just went with static. If I need to sack a mon, I can sack Raichu, hope the static pops, and go from there. I went with the Modest Nature with 80 HP, 0 defense, 252 special. Sorry, I haven't changed Modest. It's supposed to be Timid. This is from when Sigilif was the mon. It's supposed to be Timid with 80 HP, 0 defense, 252 special attack, 0 special defense, and 200 in speed. This mon, I, on the other hand, didn't creep to try and speed creep the Lycanroc just because I have Barraskewda, I can outspeed it. Plus, Accelerock does a lot to Raichu, and should he win it, he actually one-taps my Raichu with Drill Run. So I would rather just say, okay, I can't outspeed the Lycanroc, so I'm just gonna speed creep the Shaman instead. Now, the moveset is going to be Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Signal Beam, and Nasty Plot. And again, I'm taking advantage of the cut moves being legal. Signal Beam is actually a cut move, but it lets me hit the Shaman and it lets me hit the Morpeko. Both of his electric resists I can actually hit with this mon. So if I get to +2 Nasty Plot and he doesn't send in his Lycanroc, I can do some major damage with either Volt Switching out, Thunderbolt, or Signal Beam the Shaman on the Morpeko. So that's Raichu. Next up, we have the mon that I'm kind of hoping this mon is the one that sweeps. It's a very, very, very specific set, but I think it's very fun. So we have Incineroar, also known as Overhaul. Now, it's going to be holding the weakness policy. If holders hit super effectively, it raises the attack and special attack by 2 stages. It's a single use. I went with the Intimidate ability. I could go Blaze, to be completely honest, because I might be a low HP towards the whole thing with Incineroar's moveset. But I went with Intimidate just because it's better overall. Now, it's Jolly Nature with 248 HP, 32 attacks, 0 defense, 0 special defense, and 228 in speed. Now, the reason for this spread is because after +1 flame charge, because my moveset is acrobatics, power trip, flame charge, and bulk up, and after a +1 flame charge, I outspeed anything that is not a choice scarf mon. Now, the way I want Incineroar to work this week, and it's gonna be insane if it does. I want him to potentially swap in his Hitmontop on this, because I think it's risky for him to swap in his Wartortle to a knockoff. If you lose the Eviolite, Wartortle isn't a wall for Barraskewda anymore. I don't think he would ever swap in his Lycanroc. It takes too much damage. He might go Moltres. And if he goes Moltres, I have to kind of figure out what I want to do from there. But I hope he goes Hitmontop, because then the idea is I swap in Incineroar on something. I threaten out the Copperajah, the Shaman, whatever, maybe the Hatterene. I bulk up. He swaps into Hitmontop. Yes, I then go to neutral attack. I then flame charge on the Hitmontop as it hits me with a fighting type attack. He activates my weakness policy, and then depending on which fighting type attack he used, I can either bulk up again, or I can just attack from there. Because if he has popped my weakness policy, acrobatics kills after that. If he's not running close combat but running something else, I can actually bulk up again and go to power off my power trip and then go for that. The thing is, I have to keep tabs on how much health I have and how much damage Lycanroc's Excel Rock would do. The sweet thing about this as a sweeper is Mega Bayonet cannot Thunder Wave or, of course, Will-O-Wisp this just because it's a Dark type. He can't target a Dark type with any status move with Prankster. So that's why I thought this would be one of the better sweepers I could have this week. Plus, if I get all this, the bonuses, stat bonuses, that I think is possible, Power Trip actually OHKOs pretty much his entire team. So this is Incineroar this week. I really hope it wins. Now, I do have to have some bulk on my team, so I went with Miltank, also known as Super Cow. It's going to be holding the leftovers again. I went for Sapsipper as the ability because I don't really need Thick Fat. His fire type is Moltres, which can hit really hard. He doesn't have an ice type. And while he does have Mega Bayonet, I don't think Scrappy is super useful now. I did kind of learn my lesson a little bit by not underestimating a Ghost type last week, even though I still think I was unfortunate in losing that. Which, spoiler, sorry. But I went for Sapsipper. This Pokemon attack is raised by 1 stage. If it hit by a grass move, it gives grass immunity. And that's basically just so this Shaman cannot spam Seed Flare. That's the main reason why I went for Sapsipper, because otherwise I'm actually kind of weak to Shaman. Now, it is actually an Impish Nature with 248 HP, 0 attack, 216 in defense, 44 in special defense, and 0 speed. And the reason is, if he doesn't go for Seed Flare on Miltank, Shaman doesn't necessarily do a whole lot. Now, if he's choice specs like into Earth Power or Psychic, it's still going to do a lot to Miltank because it's a physically defensive Miltank and not special defensive. But I'm kind of hoping it just isn't, and if he goes for any other move, I can try and swap around my team to kind of figure out what can take the hits the best. Now, the moves that I went for is Body Slam, Earthquake, Miltank, and Thunder Wave. Now, Body Slam for stab and to potentially paralyze. Earthquake because it lets me hit the Lycanroc, it lets me hit the Copperajah, it lets me hit the Morpeko, I guess. And just, it's a good like neutral move all around. I definitely have to watch out for the Moltres, because it's most likely going to be Flame Body, and I can only hit it with Body Slam. Now, Miltank is a cause for recovery, and Thunder Wave is simply just because he doesn't have a ground type, and his electric type doesn't necessarily want to go in against Miltank, so I can toss up Thunder Waves as much as I want, and just paralyze his entire team if I want to, which can help Lucario, Barraskewda, Raichu, and Incineroar in sweeping. And lastly, I'm very excited to bring this mon. It's the first time I'm ever gonna use this mon. And it's Runerigus, also known as Ugo. I went with Ugo as the nickname. And if anyone understands that reference, big shout out to you. You are amazing. Now, It's going to be holding the Cobra Berry. Half damage taken from a super effective Dark type attack. It's a single use. Now, this is because his Lightning Rod can run Crunch, his Mega Bayonet can run several Dark type attacks, his Pico can run Dark type attacks, of course. His Hitmontop can actually run like Sucker Punch or something, so it's generally just a good security for Runerigus not to take too much damage. It's of course the Wandering Spirit ability. I can't have any other ability on it, but it's a really good ability because you can do some interesting things with it. Like if I stay in on his Mega Bayonet and he attacks me with a Dark type attack, I take it because of the Cobra Bear. I actually get his Prankster. Now the nature for Rodriguez is going to be Impeach with 248 HP, 0 attack, 148 in defense, 112 in special defense, and 0 in speed. And the moves that I went for is Poltergeist, Earthquake, Will-O-Wisp, and Stealth Rock. Now, as I mentioned, if I'm in 1v1 versus the Mega Bayonet and he goes for a Dark type attack, I know it most likely would go for a Ghost type attack, but I do have Miltank in the background, so I think he has to think about that also. So if I can kind of predict the Dark type attack, I can take it. I can get his Prankster, and then I can Prankster Will-O-Wisp after I have Poltergeist. So I don't even have to Will-O-Wisp it the first time it attacks me. I can just Prankster it afterwards. So that's a really niche thing you can do with Runerigus. Now, me staying in on his Mega Bayonet with Runerigus is very much depending on if I need to get out of a bind or not. If I'm doing well and I don't really need to risk Runerigus like that, I will just swap out. Like, I'm not just going to stay in because I want to do some cool tech. That's what I have Incineroar for this week. But yeah, that was the team this week. I hope you liked it. I'm very excited about using Runerigus. I'm very excited about the Incineroar set. I definitely do think I have a decent matchup this week, but as always, anything can happen in Pokemon. So I just make sure to like the video if you like the video, leave a comment down below what you think of the team, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. And with that, I'm out. Peace, YouTube.